Good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is David Pierre, the Bright Sun, and today I want to talk about how perception affects reality but doesn't necessarily make it. My voice today does sound a little rough. I'm coming off of a cold, so please bear with me now. But let's get into it. Well, but actually before I start, I hope you're doing well, being safe out there, and do take care of yourself. All right, let's get into it. So I was at work the other day, right? And at work, my tap, like my pin pad where you insert the card in, you either tap, pay, insert, swipe, whatever, right? That part wasn't taking tap. Now mine was the only one not taking tap. And therefore we put a sign right on top of it that says no tap. Somebody added no Apple Pay, but it was mainly for just no tap, so that people don't waste their time trying to tap, right? And now 3 different things happen. Actually, maybe 4, right? The first thing that happened was there are people who, with that being, so that's the case, right? No tap is working on just that one. Therefore, you can't tap your card, but you can still touch the pin pad and whatnot. The first thing that happened, there are people who didn't even see the sign, still tapped it, and then once I was like, hey, the tap, like no tap's not working, then they saw the sign. Oh, yeah, oh, okay, oh my God, my bad, I didn't see that, right? Now, there's a second, I guess, type of reaction to it, right? The second type of people who even saw that, or who even found it out, right? They didn't tap, and they also didn't even touch the screen, thinking that no tap meant that the screen wasn't even working in general, right? And the third type of people, they didn't, of course, use the tap, but they were still put their finger on the screen because the screen still worked, of course. Just no tap, no tap card, whatever, Apple Pay, whatever. And the fourth people thought that we didn't, like, us as a franchise or us as a business didn't even take tap in general, right? And now, what do those 4 things show? When those things were happening, not only was I, man, people are freaking dumb sometimes, right? But seeing that, I was like, wow, this one sign was taken in 4 different ways. This was supposed to simply say, do not tap your card on the screen or do not use Apple Pay or whatever pay you have because it's not working right now. But instead, it was taken 4 different ways. And you see, in reality, 4 different things happened. They all reacted differently to it, right? But it didn't change the reality that it was simply not for the tap card or the Apple Pay. You know what I mean? So that really showed me, I think that was a good example of how people perceive things can affect the reality of how they react, or the motion, the fun, like what happens in reality. But that part of the truth that still doesn't change, like, it's still there. And when it happens to you, one thing to think is, what is the reality of this? What is the truth? Like, what is this? Not how you, like, be aware that you are perceiving it first, and then say, okay, this is how I'm perceiving it. Am I looking at it for what it is? Because you can perceive people, things, concepts, whatever, as any type of way, but do you know what it is? Because for as long as you don't know what it is, and of course there are some things that you could say you would never really know what it is, but for the things that, like, there are a lot of things that you perceive that you can control for you to make the decision on getting to know it enough to where you can actually have credible judgment on it, to where you actually know what it is, right? You're not just biased off, oh, I perceive it this way, or oh, I took it this way. And of course, you can take things in different ways based off of how you've grown up or how you're used to things. But then just still stay aware of how that's how you perceive it, right? And then also don't forget, do you know what it is? What was the intention? What is it saying? What is the truth? Because the more you stick into this is how I simply perceive it, yeah, like that's valid. Of course, you can say, yeah, you perceived it in that way. It came across this way, okay. But then from there, when it comes to problem solving or when it comes to getting a situation figured out, or even then, like not being affected by something or treating it or responding accordingly to it, you also got to look outside of yourself to look at it and just figure out, all right, what am I looking at here? What is it saying? What is this? So that you avoid more conflict, you avoid unnecessary suffering, you understand more, and you're able to go in life and just as you move through life, be in better positions, because a lot of perception really affects, reality. It really makes people act a certain way, behave a certain way, do things that they wouldn't have done if they just stopped and listened, or it affects how people think about others, all those types of things off of simply perception. So be careful with yours, because of course we're all fools, but sometimes you really don't want to be a fool, or at least know that you are a fool. And until about that certain topic that you figure out, you will still be a fool. So don't think that you know it all when you don't really know much, or what evidence or what proof have you had to have this conclusion. If you simply, for example, let's say, I don't know, you see somebody and they have a straight face, or a face that you deem a not so friendly face, right? And now you perceive them as a mean person. Well, you can perceive them in that way, but it doesn't mean that they are. So, therefore, of course, you saying, or you thinking, hey, I think that person's mean or they're intimidating, like, you have maybe a very tiny bit of evidence to maybe suggest that, but remember, it's to suggest, not to prove. And the moment you take that little grain of salt, or you take that little piece and you run with it, you look dumb in the end, because you don't actually know. But now you're telling other people, and now you're behaving this way all because of something that you don't really know. Instead you could have left it at, my impression of this person is they seem intimidating or mean or cocky or whatever, but I don't know them. And so until I get to know them, we'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at, I don't know them, instead of saying they are, when you don't even really know what they are, or what that is, or whatever concept, or whatever you perceive in a way that comes from you not even knowing much about it. So be careful with that. Be careful out there. I hope y'all have a good day. I'll be doing my best to get better. Good afternoon, good night. You have a good afternoon, or good morning, or good night, whichever one you're in. And David the Bright Sun out. Peace.